Don't need to second guess yourselves anymore. Game 12 of the Grand Finals is here. And after 2 incredible days of competition, we finally get to see who will lift that FNCS Grand Finals win for the North American region. And this season in particular has been so special given how many teams from Europe have entered into the fray here. And not only did they enter into the ecosystem, they qualified their way to the Grand Final stage, really showing you how great the player base truly is here. And one thing to note, one thing we really got to never forget is that if you are in this lobby right now, I mean, you are one of the best players in the world to have ever done it. So everyone here is a winner in some way or another, but to get to that next step, you're gonna have to dig very, very deep here. Vino and Clicks, right, to continue this little bit of a conversation we have going on here, have finally kind of earned their drop spot back from the team that was contesting them. Peterbot and Pollo have never stopped having the freedom here at the Red Line Rig. And we know, right, Taco, explain to the viewers why this is such a strong drop spot. Because this is not the first time they've had a very good drop spot to themselves.
It's exclusively that Machinist medallion, man. I mean, don't get me wrong. The Mythic Combat Assault Rifle is also a treacherous weapon in the hands of Peterbot. But the fact of the matter is, the Machinist medallion is the only medallion that can be efficiently shared between a duo. Unlike having infinite nitro or infinite ammo, where seemingly only one player is ever going to benefit at a time, as long as Peterbot and Pollo stay at least within a box reach of each other, essentially, they'll be able to share 75 shield regeneration, and even better still, it's 5 shield a tick. And that alone, it's just so much more impactful. It makes it so much more difficult to actually try and challenge Peterbot and Pollo, whether it's a play for height or just an overall box fight. Teams just struggle to find a quick closure, and the longer time to elimination takes, the higher the odds of a third party entering the conversation, the higher the odds of Peterbot and Pollo simply out-sustaining you. And that's not even factoring in just how strong they both are individually, mechanically speaking.
Yeah, it's like having a souped up slurp juice round the clock. Like, it's crazy, the little things. But here we have it. Game 12 is already underway, and I could, you know, again, we're ahead of you guys, so I could already see the rumblings coming as these fights are gonna start to make their way to the air. Let's see it here though. Clicks and Vino keying the first team next door. It's gonna be Xsets, Edgy, and Death. Already Vino's pushing pretty heavily on the opposite side of the wall here. Clicks pushing in on the other wall, trying to see if there's a couple of points here to be earned.
Vino and Clicks know they don't have any time to waste. They have to just start converting points, even if it comes out of thin air. But Edgy, Death, doing a decent job at scrambling from the low. Veno's gonna drop down to their lair while Clicks continues to pressure from above. But Clicks, Veno, despite having a split angle approach, they haven't really found any confirmed openings. I say that, then noticing Death's shield falling relatively low here, and Clicks with that Flowberry Fizz, but that pause to recuperate his own shield is going to allow for both Edgy and Death to regenerate some of theirs as well. No third-party action involved into the mix just yet, though, as Edgy continues to crouch around, continues to see if he can find a little bit of a flank position here onto Clicks. He's got to be careful. Clicks from overhead goes for the side jump, and Edgy gets some decent shots into him. But Edgy immediately going to converge back to his original position, side by side with Death. Both of these duos not really seemingly, they don't want to budge.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going through Vino and Clicks' mind here. Is Vino thinking, with how much of a gap he has to close here, you know, onto the likes of Peterbot and Pollo, do they want to just find a lot of elims? Do they want to key the lobby? You can see that that's not going to be easy by any means. even though Edgy and Death, you know, arguably on the leaderboards are so far behind them, that does not equivalent to, you know, it's not equivalent to a free elimination by any means. And that's gonna be the problem, right? That Vino and Clicks are in store for here. How do you earn that many points? How do you earn so many points that you fly past out of 4th place and get into 1st? It's like you have to take out your top competition, or it's going to be impossible to do so. And that can be said for all these teams. It can be said for Trashy and Threats as well. And by the way, we're going to have to give a lot of credit to teams like Trashy and Threats, who came together and managed to make lemonade out of the lemons that they were given earlier in the weeks here, because they put together a bomb squad from the past, right? Kind of reunited here, and they're popping off once again like the good old days. So really fun stuff we're watching unfold here.
Yeah, especially when you also factor in the Trashy and Threads. They were one of our more last-minute type of duos to even develop. Mongrel and Mr. Savage, though, they're in a world of hurt currently at the Shipwreck Shallows. Mongrel trying to scramble, but that's going to be the end of it. Their story has concluded. Mongrel and Mr. Savage will not be at the Global Championship, but they have had an incredible journey. And I think if you compare Mongrel in this major to the past one, he should be very proud of the steps that he has taken to elevate his gameplay, because this is not an easy means to come back to competitive play after taking a little bit, or I say a little bit, but a pretty long stretch of a break.
Yeah.
And yet he's still able to compete. It's incredible.
Yeah, it was a very lengthy break, and for him to bounce back like you just mentioned, I mean, he has only gotten better, and I think he will continue to get better. So I hope he keeps his head up, and I just hope he keeps digging deep and practicing, right? There is so much potential for him to continue to do well. The leaderboards you're seeing on the side there are updating, and already our 12th place spot has fallen, which means there is a position open this game now for a new team to enter into the conversation of attending the Global Championship as a player. And those teams could be Baka Pars, Japka Kwani, Kanata Cooper. There are many, many heavy hitters on the line here. Iamzo Tayson, right? There's so many teams outside of the top 12 bubble. And we say top 12 because there are 2 teams inside of our top 3 that already are qualified, so they cannot take a spot away from anyone else. Those spots go down the leaderboard, so it's top 12.
I'm more so looking towards Baka, Pars, Yapko Kwani, and the Iamzo Tayson discussion. Kanata and Cooper are chilling, but I think that for Yapko and Kwani especially, these guys have definitely had to overcome a lot of turmoil, and they're trying to confirm a couple of eliminations right now, yet again, onto Flo and Sigma. But Flo and Sigma, they're just looking to try and essentially bide their time. They know that if they sit here long enough, Yapko and Kwani, they might just feel a little bit more pressure to try and get a move on, right? The teams don't want to get caught out of position, but on that same fold, Kwani, Yapko, they've spent enough time here now. Once you have that sort of time investment, you kind of have to confirm eliminations for that surge damage.
Yeah, they could easily be overstaying their welcome here and now. I think they recognize that as well. And given, I like that they move now, because they're moving now that they've exhausted all of their wood, right? They didn't really use too much of the heavy materials, but they're like, all right, we went through all of our wood. We've been here for a while. The zone's already revealed itself. Let's get going. And I think that's a good indicator that it might just be time to give up and get a move on it. Meanwhile, Trashy and Threats up against Chubbs and Skittles. These are very much teams that are super familiar with one another. And actually, I'm just looking at it. Threats right now. Trashy was knocked by Evan just moments ago. And that's a big deal, given the fact that they're in 5th place right now. This is a very, very relevant team, and this is a very critical moment for this team. And quite honestly, how much money they're gonna make. They're top 10. I mean, they're there. They're chilling. But those dollars are gonna literally melt away if they can't clutch up and stay in the game right now at this point.
Yeah, but that could also be a nice break for Clix and Venom if you think about it, because Threats, Trashy, they're the ones trying to encroach on their position, and Threats, he's not going to be able to keep this run going. 6th place now with a very real opportunity to try and overcome that top 5. Flappy and Evan are going to shut down Trashy and Threats in our final game of Major 3 Grand Finals. An insane feat when you really think about it. Evan and Flappy have not really converted many wins on the day in general, but they're playing spoiler at the most critical times for more than just one duo on the matches here today. Baka and Pars, though, trying to do what they can to recover, considering their current position on that leaderboard. We'd already highlighted earlier, they are just outside of that top 12 conversation. But one promising feature, I'm seeing these forecast towers kind of lit up around the map. I know I saw one for Clix and Veno earlier on. Have to expect that they were able to confirm that forecast tower knowledge, and maybe with it, I think one thing that I could make for a really interesting approach for Clix and Veno is if they actually opt to go to Rift Island this game, because that is somewhere that Peterbot and Pollo have consistently been traveling to. And if you want to try and take Destiny into your own hands, one of the only times that you're ever going to really have that open opportunity to actually engage Peterbot and Pollo is when they are at Rift Island, and you know that they like to go for it consistently.
Two teams that are very much fighting for the same position right now. Iamzo, Tayson, Cooper, and Kanata exchange a couple tags, a couple shots, and then back off one another. Given that Cooper and Kanata positioned up first, they're going to respect that. And what separates them is essentially one endgame. Any of these teams in the top 16 secure an endgame, they are pretty much locking it in.
Yeah, it's just like I said, with Cooper and Kanata, they're the only ones that don't really have as much to lose aside from prize money. Keep in mind, 3rd place finish in Major 2. They've already confirmed their spot on the battle bus for the Global Championship, but obviously everybody would like a little bit more money to go with it. So can't ever count out Cooper and Kanata by any means. I'm sure that they are still going to do everything in their power to force their way into that top 10 conversation. But again, it's not an easy means.
This is what I'm expecting, you know, your teams inside the top 10 to play way more passively this game than any other. And then Peterbot and Pollo to actually have the opposite effect, given that they already have a winning seat and they're in the lead by a significant amount. So they can be as destructive as they want, and I think most teams are going to shy away from a challenge right now because they're going to be more concerned about going to Global Championship and not falling early. So I think it's a very interesting dynamic that ultimately played out just now as we start bending our way towards the mid-game of this Game 12 right now. There's Victor V and Paper. They have a team below them. They have a crash pad ready, and they're going for it.
Paper sort of just leading the charge here. Got that elevated position, but Paper's going to drop, apply some pressure onto Havoc's wall. Havoc and Cirque seem like they're struggling a little bit here, but Paper, it's like he's got a fire underneath his feet. He's trying to make sure that they can convert this into 2 solid eliminations. He's going to scramble back up, though, to his ramps. He wants to get up and over this hill here. And they understand the assignment. They got a little bit of surge damage online. They're going to head back into the remains of this weapons bunker, and while it would have been nice to confirm those 2 eliminations, Paper, Victor V, I think that they also understand the fact they're in 11th place. They are on the cusp right now. They cannot afford for any mishaps if they get eliminated here and now, it is very unlikely that they will remain seated in that 11th place position. And even better still, they're also another team that's looking to try and elevate themselves 1, 2, 3, however many positions they can. They want it inside of that top 10 of the leaderboard.
Oh yeah, they've done so much in the last 2 weeks to build up, you know, their notoriety amongst the Fortnite community. Paper's always been respected and well known. He's a fun guy, but Victor V is kind of given that team, you know, this new lens to really look in on and you know, ask yourself, wait a second, do we have something special being formulated here, right, amongst a veteran and this very new up-and-comer? It's kind of how, like, that Cold and Acorn story kind of became as well, right? And Cold finally had his opportunity and took off. But hold up, back to the fight here. Batman, Booga, and Rapid. Rapid gets collapsed on by a team rotating just on their outskirts, and this is treacherous territory right here as well for them, because they have a chance to win this entire tournament right now, and they cannot afford to burn material, burn heals in the mid game right now, let alone fall behind on positioning here. And they're backtracking. I don't know what's happening here. They felt like they exhausted too many materials, so they're gonna try to play the big brain play to, like, sweep around, but oh no, they're getting spotted out here. He's gonna be forced to use the dashes. Good call by Batman Booga, but that could have went south really quickly there.
They're not out of the thick of it just yet either. So many teams kind of dealing around them. Yamzo, Tayson, though, this is a huge blow. Tayson is down. Yamzo, a solo south of the Nitrodrome. So much ground to cover. He has to muster up something massive here, and in fact, he's gonna head back into the storm. It's a reboot van play that I think Yamzo is gonna be hoping for here. At the very least, confirming the eliminations onto Virgo and Shadow is gonna be a nice bump in points, but recovery tour if he's able to get Tayson back up and running off of the reboot.
Peterbot looking to clear up the visuals that are blocking up the line of sight here, and look at that. Very well worth it. Already reveals Booga, and it's smart of him to do that now. Just look at the map, right? He understands that we're on the congested side. Team should be coming towards us, and he just doesn't miss. He is very spot on. Peterbot is on track to be easily, right? Easily the best amongst the best duos of any performers, right? In this entire 2024 year across all regions. Peterbot and Pollo are very much that duo right now. They're in that conversation, and I think you can put Cold and Acorn up there as well. If you just look at the points earned today by itself, Cold and Acorn would be in first by a long shot. They are outperforming even Peterbot and Pollo, which is impressive given that they're 40 points ahead coming into this game. If it was just today, however, this is a two-day tournament. Now I'm looking at the feed right now. Pollo finds one, Vino finds one. The big teams are still in it. Iamzo is holding on right now, and one of our bubble teams fall. Japco is out, Quanti is out, back to the lobby, and their tournament run ends here and now.
I just can't help but feel for Iamzo in this position. He's so close, so many past circumstances. But as a solo, it is looking like a very tough endeavor. Batman Booga Rapid, though, these are some very much needed points if they want to try and overtake that first place position. But it also just hinges upon whether or not somebody, anybody can shut down Peterbot and Pollo, who happen to be staring them down from across the water just outside of Restored Reels. Batman Booga, he's at least gonna get a chance to heal. 2 more medkits still in tow as well. But that is the last of his shield resources. Now everything else is gonna depend upon how much Flowberry Fizz Rapid actually has available. But he's looking to cut off Paper, he's looking to cut off Victor V. No tags gonna connect though. crash pad rotate is successful. And now Batman Booga and Rapid, they've got to get a move on themselves. They're trying to keep it moving.
I'm seeing Nox happen right now. Nox on names that I don't want to see be down right now. And talking about that, Bryce is one of them for sure, but Yamzo needs those points way more than Bryce does, as they're above them on the standings. That's going to open up more solos here. And I'm looking in the distance. I don't see Kanata. I saw Cooper there. A little glimpse of Koopa. Baka in pars. Just holding on right now. And the mental fortitude that you have to have if you're Baka in pars. You went back-to-back Victory Royales, and then you just started dudding out game after game after game, talking about 0 points earned, and all of a sudden you go from being in the conversation to win the grand finals to now barely holding on to go to the actual LAN event come September. It is just a roller coaster of emotions, and for them to still be holding on and make it this far, I mean, they made it to the end game. That's a huge, huge improvement over the last couple rounds. The Yamzo still holding on. Tries to go and recycle this crash pad. Knows that he can't just hit it face on. Very smart of him to swing around the side. And we have been here before. We see what happens when the river comes into place. This is going to start opening up all types of chaos. And anything can happen now, including the most unpredictable high ground retakes. Yamzo just trying to defend right now. Ooh, big find onto Reed here, and the finish. The more points, more placement points for him.
He couldn't have found that at a better moment. Gets a little bit of a mat refresh as well. Come on, Yamzo, just keep trekking forward. Everything depends on this solo clutch right now for his spot to the global championship. And Yamzo taking fate into his own hands. Blaha, Mixon, gonna fly right by him. You might have noticed Mixon get incredibly hurt on the way through, but look directly behind where Yamzo is currently fixated. Peterbot, Poyo continuing to rack up the damage as well. They've only got one elimination so far, but realistically speaking, they are truly just in control right now for as to the pacing of this one, because nobody can seem to match them for where they're currently at.
Well, this is still a problem. They only have a single elimination, so there's room available, and there's a lot of players still alive. Clix and Vino being one of them in that mix there. Batman, Booga, and Rapid being the closest on their heels. They will have to outperform them by a long shot now through placement points and eliminations. The time is now. Booga's down. Vino's in the water here. Sight lines are open for Batman Booga there. He didn't quite take the shot. They're more focused in on the rotation, staying in front of the zone, but they're starting to gas out. They're starting to run out of material here.
They're not the only ones though. Peterbot, Poyo smothered a little bit here in their lair, but at the same time, look at the top. Vorteca and Paco from the high ground, just trying to rain down as many shots as possible to all these teams getting caught in the congestion. That slight hill causing so many issues for the teams underneath it. Benno Click's gonna be one of them at the bottom of that hillside, but everybody surging forward now, trying to make sure they can stay towards that front side of zone. Clix and Benno, though, with that forecast knowledge, they seemingly want to continue playing from the back. They're trying to see if they can just catch any stragglers off guard instead. Now they're gonna make their move forward. Hazard, Sandman dropping just in front of them. Clix and Benno could have a box fight on their hands here. As Batman Booga, he's just trying to go for the solo medkit play.
He's just holding on right now while Peterbot finds an elimination there. So now they're focusing in on high ground. Peterbot and Poyo are taking down the high ground team right now. They might be trying to set themselves up for a victory royale and a victory lap on the lobby right now. And I'm just focused in on how they are pushing and decimating the lobby right now. Vino and Clix are going for high ground, and we're seeing a fight for the ages right here. But Peterbot, Poyo, give it up. They respect the high ground hold from Vino and Clix. Vino and Clix have to dig so far into the plays here to do something big to find the points. Poyo is down. It's up to Peterbot once again to hold on to the dream here, to be the back-to-back FNCS champions, and Batman Booga is still holding on somehow as well, not giving up his position here. His second place hold is still alive at the moment. Acorn and Cole alive in the low ground as well, but it's gonna come down to eliminations and a hefty amount, and the win here too. Heal loss are happening everywhere. Sight lines are open for Peterbot onto Clix and Vino. Fight breaking out. Vino's down. Clix is by himself now. New high ground team is in, and I think Acorn and Cold are gonna be looking to start to turn things around here shortly and capitalize here and now.
Clix and Peterbot are both out of their medkits. They're both trying to fly forward, catch up with the rest of the lobby. Batman Booga, no heals remain. Tries to get another elimination. Peterbot does confirm one for himself. Hazard dropping Peterbot down. Acorn and Cold, they are still holding strong though. Same case scenario for Clix, but he is finally eaten up by Cold, who also gets dropped simultaneously. Sandman could be looking to scoop this Victor Royale out from the depths. Hazard and Sandman steal this one away from Acorn and Cold, despite how promising things were looking for them out of the low ground. But the real fixation for me, MDF, is what actually took place with our top 5 on the leaderboard.
You stack them up, they will knock them down. It just doesn't get any better than that. Every team who had a realistic chance and opportunity at being your champions was in that end game. Congratulations though in the end to Sandman and Hazard, who have rocketed their way up with a huge game 12. We'll see if there's any significance to what place they will end this tournament in, Taco, but ultimately that was an incredible game so far.
Yeah, I think that really they're just looking at some extra placements for prize pool, but were they able to play enough disruptor to our teams trying to fixate themselves inside of that top 12? I need to see what that leaderboard consists of, MDF. It's been an awesome time throughout day 1 and day 2 here of Major 3 for the NAFNCS Grand Finals, but the ride to Texas, the final score count, all of it remains for Zeke, Vivid, and Kelly to break down.